All right, good morning. So up here talking with Senator Bowling and Representative Bricken, and they have to be out of here at 9:30 to go to a tractor event, which is much more entertaining than what we're doing here.
Not a tractor pull.
Not a tractor pull, but they're going to go. They're going to go inspect some cool tractors, apparently. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our comments and let them finish eating, and then they'll finish up as they are heading out the door with some comments for us. And Dr. Smisher is here with UTSI, and they also have to be somewhere, so I'm going to let them go first. Please use the mic. It's not in the speakers, but it's for the recording for light tubes. So.
Okay, great. Hey, good morning. Mayor Seaborn, Senator Bowling, Representative Bricken, thank you very much for allowing us to join you this morning. What a great event. It's great to see all of our friends from the community. I'm excited to very briefly share with you all that the Space Institute is making tremendous progress. And I think over the last decade we've seen, I think the number is actually 560% growth in terms of research expenditures per faculty member at the Space Institute. And from an institute-wide point of view, that's a factor of more than 4 growth in the amount of federal and external research that's flowing through the Institute. We've had some tremendous opportunities with Lockheed Martin and other industrial partners. In fact, the University of Tennessee on the main campus just re-signed a master research agreement with Lockheed Martin, where the Space Institute played a pivotal role in making sure that that partnership was brought to fruition. A lot of great things are happening out at UTSI, and I would encourage all of y'all to come out and have a chance to visit with us sometime. But one of the things I'm really excited about is the fact that the main campus is playing an even greater role and has engaged more closely with us in the last couple of years to figure out how we can play a greater role supporting the economic development and needs of our community here. And one of the things that I'm excited about this morning is I brought backup with me. So Dean Matthew Mensch from the College of Engineering is actually here with me this morning. And we've been talking about all the things we can do to get UTSI to level up, if you were. You know, I've got a kid in high school here, and so how do we get to the next level and have an even greater impact? And from the university's point of view, that's going from $7 million a year of externally funded research coming through the Institute to 30 or more. And so there's a tremendous amount of opportunities that we have as we're going to be working in this community to try and grow not only the volume of research we're doing, but the impact we're having in this community. And one of the things that we're really excited about, and it did make it into some of the aerospace related press, I'm not sure if it made it in the local press here, but in the last year we're seeing about a $20 million investment, much of which has come from congressionally directed funding to support the development of a new arc-heated wind tunnel facility at the Space Institute. Now, if those of you who are very familiar and understand that AEDC has the premier arc-heated facilities in the world for testing those things, but someone has to help industry get ready for that type of entry. When their number comes up, they need to be ready. And we've had a tremendous opportunity to have a facility on the table now, where we're getting ready to put that in place that should be pivotal in paving the way for companies that want to come work with AEDC to help them do risk reduction and get ready to go for when their turn comes up, assure them to be as completely successful as possible. That marks, I would argue, it's one of the largest research infrastructure investments going on within the academics in the state right now. We're really excited about it, and as we go forward, we're looking forward to working with this community to help us figure out how to do a number of critical things, such as get the power to that facility. It's going to be a 3 to 5 megawatt class facility. It's requires us to bring a lot of energy onto our campus, and we'll be talking with a lot of y'all about how we can most effectively make that happen. There's a lot of opportunities for growth going forward, and we're really, again, excited about all the things that we're getting ready to embark on and the impact we're going to have for economic development, supporting AEDC and the community around it and Tullahoma. And again, looking forward to working with all of y'all. So thank you very much, and I'll see you all at the various events as we go on, and go Vols.
Appreciate John. He mentioned that Dean Mensch being here this morning. Dean Mensch has been here all week. So I think that's a statement to UT to make that kind of commitment, come down and be in our community here for a whole week. I really appreciate that. I neglected to say, but John did a good job with all he had to say, but we've only got an hour before they're leaving, so everybody be brief. So I'm going to take my turn real quickly. I was talking to Rush about it a little bit this morning. I hadn't got a chance to talk to you about it yet, Janice, but community-wise in the defense community that I'm involved with heavily, I'm Arnold Community Council Chair this year. There is a lot of money in hypersonics being spent in the country, and a lot of it is being spent somewhere besides Tennessee. There's stuff being congressionally directed to other states where it doesn't even make sense. So some of the local defense contractors, we've been talking about the need for the state of Tennessee to have a defense alliance within the state of defense companies in the state of Tennessee, which is our worry. And I believe, and several of us believe, that it would be good for the state to have a defense liaison. And so we'll probably be talking to you about that in the future. Some other states have that. The gentleman in Tennessee that I went to high school with is the defense liaison for the state of Missouri. And I'm going to be giving him a call and talking to him. So we got some things to do that I think would be a big support of our community there. Road funding is a huge problem for us in the city and on most of the communities. I know y'all are probably hearing that, but I would like to talk to y'all sometimes about, is there going to be any additional money for roads coming to counties, cities, and rural communities? If not, then the city of Tullahoma's got their work cut out for them in that regard. And then the other one I had on my list, and I'm going to let Jason Quick, our city administrator, hit some of the other city things in a moment, but SRO funding has been great to have that from the state. At some point that grant is going to expire, so just curious what you guys' thoughts are about continuing that. I think it's been a huge benefit for our school system, and I think everybody agrees it's from a safety factor. So I'll go ahead and throw over to Jason here, and then why don't we start that table when you're done?
Which one? Okay, great. All right. Thank y'all for being here. I look forward to this every year. I know how hard it is to get in front of you because everybody's wanting to get in front of you. If I had known, I'd have had some tractors brought out here. We could have kept y'all for a little bit longer. I want to echo what Mayor Seaborn said. The SRO grant funding is very important to our school system, and I know they would echo the same thing. So we hope that that continues. From a roads perspective, Tullahoma is getting ready to hit that growth spurt. We do need help with funding. One of the things that I've had several people talk to me about, it seems like in the last 2 or 3 weeks, is how do we widen Cedar Lane in order to alleviate some of the traffic that we have on 55 that goes from, let's say, from the Walmart area all the way down to Highway 55. That is extremely important to us. The other concern that we have is our communication line with TDOT is not as strong as what we need it to be. And that comes back to there was money set aside for them to do some repaving on Highway 55. If you ever travel through Manchester, as soon as you get to their high school, all the way up to, is that not MacArthur Boulevard, but is that MacArthur Boulevard? But all the way up to the major intersection. Looks nice, totally repaved. They did a great job with it. They were supposed to do the same thing for us, starting at about Wagner Park and coming all the way over and going into 41. Somehow that never occurred. Their schedule got, whatever. And we're having a hard time getting them to commit to doing what they said they would do. If you're driving through Manchester, that looks like a newly laid carpet. And I would like for the same thing for Tullahoma as people coming in, and that's a large thoroughfare. There's a lot more on our list, but we've got an hour. So I just wanted to again say thank y'all for being here.
Thank you, Jason. Mayor, and I want to first welcome everyone here. Good morning, and for the elected officials, thank you so much for your service. We really appreciate everything you do for this community. Tullahoma continues to be a vibrant place for new and expanding businesses. We have a lot of activity from industrial to retail, and we continue to work closely with AEDC's workforce and innovation team, as well as other thriving industries and businesses. And most recently, we've been working closely with UTSI and are helping them to coordinate a regional economic development strategy and meet with the other stakeholders. Regarding policy concerns, please continue to advocate for our economic development programs, especially ones that would help us grow our aerospace and defense sector in this region. Our chairman has been a champion to develop the Arnold Heritage and Innovation Center, which will be transformational for our region. And I'm going to let her also explain the other initiatives we are working on that will be helpful in attracting industry to the region. So please, I'll hand it over to Beverly Lee. Thank you.
Hey, just real quick before that, don't feel like you have to come up here to the front because it's going to take a lot of time. Chris is very good at pointing the camera.
Perfect. I need to kind of stand here. So I did bring a few things to say, so I apologize if it's going to be 2 or 3 minutes. But Many of you attended. I want to thank you very much, Janice and Rush, for being here today, and for all our elected officials that are here, and for the mayor for hosting this, as well as Rogers Group. Thank you very much for doing this every year. It's really important, I think. Many of you attended the Arnold Community Council dinner not too long ago, and the former AEDC commander, Art Huber, spoke at that dinner, and he gave a very sobering view and briefing about what and why AEDC is here. And I think we all see it every night in the news, with drones that we don't know where they come from, with high-altitude balloons going over the state of Tennessee, with all the different incursions into the Department of Treasury, or our cities and water infrastructure. So our national security actually is under fire. And so we need to make sure that we understand that national security is something we all take very seriously. But also, I don't want to be seen trite, but I also want you to make sure you know that it's kind of like George Washington's song in Hamilton. We're outgunned, outmanned, out-equipped, and outplanned by China. And we're taking it very seriously. So we have to continue the investment in this area to make sure that our national security is great. And it starts here with the state of Tennessee. So we need to make sure that Tennessee and every other state takes that seriously. The AEDC and UTSI, they are our region's technology and asset-based economic development drivers, and Tennessee's strategic advantage. And I always, everywhere I go, I remind folks that it is a 1.06 economic impact to our region. AEDC has, and significant with UTSI, bringing in over $17 million for a new facility that's going to help AEDC customers. I think that's really important for our future. And of course, they've got 60 years plus of graduate education. We need to continue that. We've got a shortage of aerospace engineers of about 100,000 in this country, and we need to make sure we bring them up. So any and all directed funding that could help UTSI get at that power, get in the infrastructure that they need, is certainly important to our region. We meet with the AEDC innovation team quite often. Excuse me. And it's a part of our strategy to help build innovation around AEDC and bring in entrepreneurs to the area. And part of that strategy, of course, is the Arnold Heritage and Innovation Center. It's going to be not just an innovation center, but also a tourist hub. So it's going to be hopefully located in an area where people will see it off the highway, and give folks entrepreneurial resources that they can have to start businesses, whether it's in aerospace or clean energy or whatever it may be in. And what's interesting about it is it's a facility where people can meet. Just the other day I was at the coffee shop, and there comes the commander with some folks that off-site at the Celtic Cup. There's nowhere to go and meet that you can actually conduct a lot of business. There's other people that we're bringing in and interviewing people for the Hands-On Science Center, things like that. So we need a location where we can inspire the next generation to become the next rocket scientists and engineers that work at AEDC. And I just wanted to kind of go further with what Dr. Schmischer says. And Lynn, yes, there are other states that are giving significant amounts of money to their hypersonics research and development specifically. And we have been kind of the leader in that for many, many years. And I'm going to go through a quick little list just so you know the amount that they're doing. And I want Janice and Rush to know the amount. So Texas A&M is now creating a space center. So they're going to have the Texas A&M Space Institute. And the state of Texas is spending $200 million to make that happen. Purdue is receiving $40 million to boost their hypersonics, and received for wind tunnel and propulsion. And they have a legislative commitment to bolster Purdue as the premier aerospace research hub. Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University has a hypersonics initiative, and their state of Florida is giving them $26 million specifically for hypersonic facilities and partnerships with other local companies. The University of Minnesota, although they have a $98 million grant primarily from the Department of Defense, their state is contributing to the infrastructure support. So like UTSI needs power, we need to make sure we're contributing to their infrastructure for all the great things that their strategy has planned. Sorry, next page, and the last page. Sorry. And then the University of Arizona Wind Tunnel, their expansions and accomplishments with state appropriations. And why are they increasing theirs? Because they need to retain the high-paying jobs that Raytheon demands in Tucson. And in Alabama, our sister state, they're not specifically an institute appropriation, but their government has offered tax incentives and infrastructure for Lockheed Martin's 65,000 square foot hypersonics facility. So the key takeaway is that other states have shown the willingness, and they're doing new facilities all throughout the nation. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot more out there. So for the state, it's critical to continue the research dollars and the money coming in, not only for our 1,800-acre facility, the industrial site, which hopefully will be going to an aerospace company, but we respectfully ask the legislator to consider Arnold Heritage and Innovation Center pre-construction funding assistance. Why? Because even a modest amount of state dollars can unlock huge federal grants and philanthropic investments in that particular facility. Right now, that facility is one of 65 in the nation that's been chosen to kind of shepherd into success, and 4 of those 65 projects have received $110 million worth of federal grants. So this particular initiative can be transformational, I think, and help bring all of these people together so they have a place to work, a place to talk, a place to collaborate, which we don't have at this particular time. So you know we have incredible assets. You are up there working for us every day, but I just want to make sure that you understand that we desperately, in this region, southern Middle Tennessee, quick drive to Huntsville, with a space economy that's growing into the trillions by 2050, then we need your support to get ready for that. So thank you. We typically, oh, I'm sorry. Okay, you're next? Oh, well, you just.
Good morning. I'm Christy Almacher. I'm the Executive Director for the Tullahoma Housing Authority. We have 5 commissioners on our board, and we've been really working hard with Tullahoma Parks and Rec to bring some different activities to our children and in our communities, and we've also partnered up with the Tullahoma Police Department to keep our properties safe. So, and also the biggest need in this town I see is the affordable housing. We do not have enough affordable housing. We're in a housing crisis here, and we really, really need to see about, some more development and zoning and things like that. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Annie Jose Majors with the Industrial Board of Coffee County. First, I just want to say thank you. I know I've reached out to Rush a couple of times this year and Janice occasionally for needs that our industries have that are kind of above what I can do for them, and I just really appreciate your time, your effort, your energy to help support the industries that we have here in Coffee County. We've spent a lot of time and money this year locally working on the Joint Industrial Park. We've applied for grants for the Manchester Industrial Park, and I truly believe that our T and ECD team is working really hard to get our infrastructure and plans, moving forward for the I-24 site. But that's just kind of where we are, and those are our goals for this year. We'll continue to work on locating industry in Manchester and Tullahoma alike. We are all Coffee County. We are all one community, and I believe that we are all just as equally important. And then as we kind of move forward and look at different target market sectors, aerospace and defense is definitely on our priority list. I mean, all the way from the state level and down to us. So, you know, any of those conversations that come your way, we appreciate your support and, and advice on that as well. Who's next? Do you have something?
So, hello. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Tim Rutherford with the George Dickel Distillery. And unlike, a lot of the people that have spoken to now, as far as, looking for funding and things like that, we actually are kind of the reverse of that, and just in case, people may or may not know, just in the last 10 years alone, we've invested $50 million in our facilities, which has created, a lot of work and jobs and a lot of flow of materials and things to come through there. The guys at Rogers Group and stuff, and even, from the concrete side of things with our local concrete manufacturers and things. So we've done a lot as we come through to drive that money into this region. One of the things too that we've been talking with the city and we're looking at now is how do we increase our presence and our footprint in the community, and so we're kind of looking at ways we're going to do that. And as well too, I think there's an opportunity here because in Tullahoma, you're in the hub of the alcohol industry for Tennessee. Right here in there, you got a lot of your bigger distillery stuff in the area. I think there's opportunities with appropriate. I'm glad to see some of the new hotels and stuff coming in. Like you said, maybe a hotel eventually, maybe with convention meeting capabilities stuff would be nice, because then we could kind of, from our industry and some of the food industries and stuff around, really create an experience to draw tourism more heavily into this area, which is definitely beneficial for everyone. Okay.
I'm Steve Moran with Rogers Group. Rogers Group was founded in 1908. We've been producing stone in Coffee County since 1943. We've been paving and constructing roads since 1953. I've been with this company this is my 42nd year. One thing that the founders, which I knew them from my first time here, is that they wanted us to participate and be more than just a road building company and an aggregate supplier. They wanted us to participate. That's the reason we're here today, and supplying and funding this. That's not the right word. We're proud to be here and be part of this. So, are you sure?
Yeah, so I realized immediately after I sat down, I'll sit down and look at this placard right there in front of me, I forgot to thank Rogers Group for the sponsorship. So I know, but I want to specifically do that, and thank y'all for that.
What I'd like for you to know is we don't broadcast that.
Yeah.
We're very proud to be here and be part of this. You want me to hand off to Steve?
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay.
I'm here representing the Airport Authority. Tullahoma's airport is one of the fifth busiest airport in the state of Tennessee. And we have a new liaison for the city, and I'd like to let him speak for just a moment.
Thank you. Matthew Bird, Tullahoma Alderman and a liaison for the Airport Authority. Mr. Glass could not be here today. He's our airport manager. But what he did ask me to bring up is that Tullahoma Airport currently has the lowest air fuel costs within, I believe it was 50 miles. Realistically, it's a much larger area than that. We try to keep our prices low to bring pilots to Tullahoma to refuel. When they're here, they might also spend some extra money. But one of the necessities for the airport is they're needing to repave one of their runways. And forgive me, I don't remember the designation for that runway, but they were looking to get an earmark because after FedEx had pulled their funding from the municipal airport accounts, it's a difficult thing for them to get funding for a large project like that. So thank you for your time.
It's got turned off. I'm Greg Gressel. I am the Executive Director at South Jackson Performing Arts Center. And first of all, I want to thank you guys for your support and your affinity towards South Jackson. Both of you have spent time serving there as well, and so I thank you for that. We are in a lot of major projects over there, and I know we've gotten together on funding before and would love to do so again on opportunities that the state might have to help us as we're restoring a historic landmark for the city of Tullahoma, as well as providing a quality of life. And so we're excited about the days to come. A lot of great things happening. And the one piece of policy and legislation stuff that I would ask you to take a look at would be our ticketing issues with entertainment ticketing in the state of Tennessee. I know there's some things that will be coming before you. I've been involved in some of that as well. I said that South Jackson has arrived because we now have people trying to scalp our tickets and trying to sell fake tickets. And so now we have finally arrived to the big time, and that's what we get for it. But yeah, we have people trying to sell fake tickets to our events and or purchasing tickets and trying to sell them for astronomical prices above that. It is a major issue in the entertainment industry, and it's legal. And so we have some real issues that we need to work on. And so I appreciate any time and attention to that you could give as well. So thank you.
Hello, I am Hope Nunley, Executive Director of the Tullahoma Area Chamber of Commerce. And as the Chamber, we are great partners with so many of the organizations that have spoke this morning and absolutely support most of the items that have been presented. From the Chamber standpoint, we would just be interested in what initiatives and strategies the state has to help foster economic growth and support small businesses. So that would be our question. And again, we thank you for your partnership. James, our president, would you like to say anything?
I just want to thank everybody for being here and those that organized, Janice and Rush. Obviously, it's always great to see y'all. I'm the incoming president for the Chamber of Commerce, so obviously support the mission. Just want to see the Chamber continue to thrive and our Tullahoma community continue to thrive, and we need support from everybody that's represented in this room to make that happen. So.
Hey, good morning. I'm Rich Ellis, president of Vanderbilt Tullahoma Heart and Hospital. Just want to thank you for all that you do, all the work you do for our community. I do want to share that in the 4 years Vanderbilt has owned the hospital, our inpatient census, number of folks staying overnight in the hospital, has grown 70%. And the number of patients that we care for in the ER has grown from 23,000 to 29,000. So tremendous amount of good work being done by our team. Would ask that a lot of attention and focus please be given to the healthcare workforce shortages. The workforce shortages for the next 10 years and beyond are extremely real. And will have a big impact on the ability of any healthcare provider to do what they're trying to do to help the community. So thank you.
I am Paul Schwer, the chairman of the Regional Planning Commission for Tennessee, or Tullahoma. I don't have a whole lot to say, just kind of listening to hear around the room about kind of thinking about everything and how it's all fitting together as from a planning perspective. You know, you hear the housing director that we have a housing crisis at the moment. As a planning commission, we're working at trying to incentivize kind of inward growth, have places for these people that are over the next few $1 billion that we're going to invest in aerospace and stuff to come have a place to live to attract that talent from the Purdue and the Emory-Riddle, the people that are developing the hypersonic stuff to come in. We're actively working towards that. It's been a slow process, but any incentives that we've got would be a step in the right direction, in my opinion. So anyway, thank you. And as a graduate from UTSI, I'm happy to hear what's going on. So.
Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to update. I'm Dr. Regina Verdon. I'm the Executive Vice President for Academic Affairs at Motlow. We have some great things going on. We had a great end of the season last year for the holiday performances. We had over 3,000 children from local schools come to see our Sleeping Beauty performance, which was pretty amazing, tracking those students in and out for that event, and it was really great. Our enrollment trends are trending slightly up, about 1.5%. We have about 5,500 current spring dual credit students, and dual enrollment still trending at about 32%. We'd love the opportunity to partner with our local schools on middle college if that's an option, and we'd love to start that conversation. New programs coming on board for fall, pending SAC-C approval for some of these. Surgical technology, central processing, which is basically developing and preparing the instruments for surgery. Our associate's degree in electronic vehicle technology will be launching in our McMinnville location in the fall. Our current mechatronics concentration in electrical vehicle is already launched. Hospitality management is ready to go and formally launching in the fall of this year at Moore County. Distilled spirits associate's degree will be launching again in the fall as well. We had a little bit of hiccups as far as facilities and things like that. That will be located at the nearest green facility in Shelbyville. And then areas of emphasis, actuarial science, religious studies, and forensic studies are under development, and hopefully we'll roll those out in the fall. So fall should be really big for us. Some future thoughts and future programs we have developing is biotechnology, massage therapy, and something around artificial intelligence, which is what's trending today. So if you need anything to support your businesses, any programs that need development, any certificates that need to be developed, please let me know, and we'd be happy to entertain those. Thank you very much, and have a great day.
Good morning. I'm Gigi Robinson, and I'm here and representing Tullahoma City Schools as a school board member. And we appreciate you being here and really appreciate what you do for public education in the state of Tennessee and the many different ways that you have impacted that for our community. And in saying that, I would also just like to bring up the thought about the General Assembly looking at the effects of the Education Savings Account on local school districts and instead seek ways to support and strengthen public schools throughout Tennessee. And I'm sure that you have done this, but I would definitely encourage you to look at the states that have passed about your program, about your laws, and see how it is working in their states. There are 2 states that have now gone back and rescinded those voucher programs because economically it was not beneficial to the state or to public schools. And the question that I would have for you is, in knowing that many states who offer a voucher or scholarship type program are struggling with the misuse of those funds, with the lack of accountability, increasing costs to taxpayers, and discrepancies in the ability for people to actually apply and receive those funds due to maybe children with special needs or low income, we would just like to ask you, what would be your concerns for the future of Governor Lee's new bill? Thank you very much.
Good morning. I'm LaVoy Baltimore with Elk River Public Utility District. Appreciate the opportunity to be here. Elk River, we've really been working hard to keep up with all the new growth that has been taking place in our areas, as you all know. We've been working hard with Annie and the Industrial Board on being sure that any industry that might choose to locate here would have plenty of natural gas. As you all know, we got cold weather coming in. We got plenty of gas ordered for that event. And as far as what the state could do, any support the state can put toward any pipeline projects that might be presented, that'd be very helpful in seeing that those projects are completed. Thank you.
Good morning, Randall Breaker, Duck River Utility Commission. We're the water supplier to this region. And I just want to say thank you, like everyone else, for all your support as legislators for us. We have had a lot of struggles over the years with the Duck River and all of the growth in the region and the I guess what you might call allocation of water. Normandy is in good shape, and you can be proud of that. We are continuing to produce the best quality water in the state at the lowest price, so you can be proud of that. In the future, we got some concerns about how this new executive order that the governor will be implemented, and we've got some concerns about how TVA will operate the reservoir. TVA has predicted that the reservoir will go down 12 more feet lower than it did during the last drought in the next drought. And so the DRUC has embarked on a $15 million project to improve our drought resilience, to give us the ability to get water lower in that reservoir, and to make sure that you will still have water for your future, for growth and economic development. As part of that, we'll be increasing our capacity so that we can keep up with any future growth, but it's a difficult concept to feel like they are using all of the water in Normandy to maintain flow for the downstream communities so they can grow. So I think it will impact our long-term recreation capabilities in Normandy. It will impact the water supply, and it will impact flood control for Shelbyville. So this is something I'd really like for you to keep one eye on. It's something that we're going to have to work with all the other communities in our basin, and we've been doing that for about 50 years fairly successfully. But this new executive order brings in a lot of new players and a lot of new ideas, and we need to make sure that we keep a little bit of a finger on that and make sure that this community in this area is as equally treated as the downstream communities are. Thank you.
Did y'all want to say anything? No. Did you want to say anything? All right. All right, so that got us around the room. Pretty good clip. Thank you for everybody being brief. And I'll turn the microphone. You want to go first, Senator Bowling?
Typically.
Always.
Typically, we go tandem, Rush. Come on up here. He'll be up there. All right. Thank you all so much. I do appreciate everybody getting out and getting over here and giving us a lot of the thumbprints and a lot of the information from your particular area. And I think as you sit and listen to everyone else, you realize the knee bone's connected to the shin bone's connected to the ankle bone. We are all interconnected. And when we look at, as we went last to our infrastructure, we really realize that growth can't be the goal. Sustainable growth, that word sustainable needs to be there always, because a lot of communities really boast about, well, we did this, we got this much, but they have no roads, they have no schools, they have no infrastructure. And with the duck, I really appreciate you telling us all of the implications of the ducks, the executive order that the governor just issued regarding the duck. On the surface, it sounded good. It's going to help us make sure the duck is there for sustainability all the way over to Columbia. But when you look at if they are emphasizing things that are not in the best interest of all the citizens who are already dependent on the duck, then there's a whole new ballgame to discuss. And so Rush and I will make sure that we talk with the governor about that very thing and make sure that we realize that in Tullahoma, the growth in the housing, as you just said. I just heard the interview with the new HUD director for the federal government, and this isn't a political statement because it doesn't matter which party you're part of or whatever, but our country has gone through really hard times for the last 4 years. And so a lot of people, through the inflation and through a lot of the loss in jobs, we have seen more people maybe needing affordable housing. At the same time, there's a lot of waste in HUD, a lot. And there's a lot of mismanagement at the federal level. And I'm hoping that over the next 4 years, we're going to see a renaissance of America, that we will go back to not needing more affordable housing. We will need to build all these wonderful houses that I'm not sure why they need such big houses, but everybody seems to want one lately around here, and that's great. That's great. And we need to make sure, too, that we know with housing can come more students. And then that puts a strain, because we also have to understand that in Coffee County, and particularly in Tullahoma, we're landlocked. AEDC, Metropolitan Moore County, the lake, and then we've got Manchester, and they don't like us either. So we've got, and I'm teasing about that, I think we're working better than we ever have as a county. And with the 2,000 acres that we're talking about, how that's going to impact all of us. Because we want to make sure, since the state bought the land, they can control what goes there. And I don't know if any of you have caught a little bit of the conversation going on, but we don't always trust the state, if you will, for the local needs and the local concerns. And it should be the aggregation of all of us, but in some ways, sometimes it isn't. Rush, would you kind of sort of agree on that one? Unfortunately. But we are there. And anytime you have the needs, whether it's for money or something, you come to us with the particulars of what you want. You don't want us designing your house. You don't want us designing whatever it is you're needing. You need to show us what you want, and then we can go in and we can argue for, and we can lobby for, and we can try to get things in the budget up front. And a lot of these places that you're saying that are getting so much from the state, they're larger areas with staffs that are dedicated to getting stuff from the state. And I think that we're doing what we can do. I have 6 counties. Rush has 2, and we share Coffee County and Grundy County. And then I go up to Cobb County, Warren County, and Coffee County, and Lincoln County, and Franklin County. So I've got 6, he's got 2, and we stay busy. And we do work well together, so we want to tell you that. I was listening to some of the talk, and I guess one of the things we were concerned about that they're talking about nationally right now, TikTok. Does that discussion impact any of you? Do you care one way or the other?
I'll say Defense cares about that locally.
Yes.
Whether it affects me in my house, probably not so much.
Yeah, right. And so that would be something, and I'm concerned with China. Do y'all know China does not like us? Do you know they really are an enemy? It's not just rhetoric. But one of the things that concerned me yesterday, I was in a meeting, day before yesterday, with Rush regarding a cell tower in Grundy County that's going to be placed. Then we found out that 300 of them are going to be placed across the state of Tennessee, and all these cell towers are owned by Motorola. Do you know who owns Motorola? I should say Rolla. China. Communist China owns Motorola. And so I'm thinking, we're worried about TikTok when we've got every cell tower. And you can understand that better than I can. Well, the actual impact that would have on our national security and on our interlocal communications. I mean, when the people who own the towers can turn you off if they can turn you on. I don't see a lot of black helicopters, but when I see one, I try to figure out where it took off and where it's going to land, because these things have consequences. They all have consequences for our nation and for our state in particular with our industrial complex. I heard a lot of good news today, but I did hear a lot of the needs as well. And we are there, ready, willing, and able. And Gigi, you touched on the one thing that's the 300-pound gorilla in the room right now in Tennessee is the voucher program. And how many of you have heard the governor's calling an extraordinary session? I am, as a citizen and as a senator, a little bit conflicted, not a little bit, a whole lot conflicted on the fact that we're calling an extraordinary session when we've just opened the regular session. Extraordinary sessions are extraordinary. Therefore, when an emergency arises, when we're not in session and we need to do something, then we should have had an extraordinary session regarding East Tennessee. It should have been several months ago. We all discussed that. People talked about that to the people that could have done something about it. No special session. And we've got lots of folks in East Tennessee who are still living out of campers or out of cars. It was devastation that was so unpredicted and just so horrible, so far-reaching. But right now, the special session is going to contain East Tennessee and the voucher program, which, if you all will remember, they have touted the fact that that was the first bill filed for the 114th General Assembly. Okay, well and good. So now we're going to call a special session and bring that from the General Assembly into the special session, which is supposed to be for emergencies. And the other thing is the immigration. We already had a lot of immigration things on the docket. I have a couple of bills, I did some last year, where we're trying to make sure Tennessee's not a magnet for illegals and make sure that they understand there's consequences in Tennessee. Like if they committed any sort of felony, it would be a double commitment because in my bill, they're here illegally, that's the first charge. So it doubles the charge and it creates a much stiffer penalty. But those are the kinds of things we've been working on already and have in the, so the only emergency is East Tennessee, and that has been an emergency, and we certainly need to help them. But if in fact we do an omnibus bill, and they put all three things in one bill, that couldn't happen in a regular session because you cannot have, it has to be under the same caption, it has to be under the same code. You have to be the same in substance there. You're opening up the same Tennessee law to correct it. So these three disparate things in one bill, and it's an up or down, and that's what I've heard. I'm hoping and praying, and I ask for your prayers, that that's not what happens. If they're going to have the special session, it looks like we are, and if there's going to be three totally separate subjects, which it looks like there will be, then we need to make sure that each bill affecting that particular subject is one bill. We don't need to have to vote against East Tennessee and against illegal immigration and have to vote for something. For some of us are having issues with it. I met with the governor at his request this last week, and I explained to him my concerns about the voucher program. And he said, well, I heard your no. I said, well, you got good ears. And that's where I am now. And the deal with that also, just very briefly, $7,000. I have no problems with parents who want to educate their children if they choose a different methodology. If there were really a way to give a tax credit or something for them, but from what I have read, it will cost in bureaucracy, another level of bureaucracy, $25,000 per $7,000. Now, I'm not great in math, but I can figure that out. You know, we don't want to do that. Also, in Tennessee, 47 state counties do have schools, Christian schools, different kinds of private schools. 53 do not. Those are mostly rural counties. So now the rural counties who, oftentimes in the rural counties, the education is the largest industry in the county, the educational system, the biggest employer, whatever. But when you look at that, and there's no quote-unquote choice because there are no schools, and $7,000 per student's not going to equate to a new school. It might create virtual schools, which is something that hasn't been discussed, but I wonder, if we're saying $7,000, then what are the alternatives for education? Well, does that include virtual schools? But all of the administration and accountability that factors into all of this, it does increase that cost to $25,000. Nothing is coming from public education. Public education is actually getting a financial boost. And a lot of public educators don't understand. Do you know what the #1 budget item on our state budget is? Education. And you could divide our budget into 3 sections: education, and then you would have TennCare, and then everything else. So everything in the state, whether it's TDOT, TDEC, ECD, all of the Department of Health, all of that gets a portion of the 1/3 that's left after education and after TennCare. And so one last thing, too, that I think is important as we're looking at the educational things, is that I asked the governor that there's talk of eliminating the Federal Department of Education. And I won't get a show of hands, but if you want to smile, that's okay, too. Then if I know, do you like that or not? I love it. education has gone down since Jimmy Carter introduced the Federal Department of Education, and all the bureaucracy. We go a mile to get $5 and have to pay $1,000 in regulatory oversight. So there's a lot of regulatory oversight when you look at the money that we get from the Federal Department of Education. So I am glad to see that go. And I told the governor when I was with him the other day that I would like him to look at the state Department of Education and eliminate about half of it, because actually a little over a fourth, because 1/2 of the money that we appropriate, the largest appropriation in the state budget, stays in Nashville. And that dog don't hunt. That is way too much money staying in Nashville, and about half of what stays in Nashville is to interface with Washington. So do you see the waste? Do you see the just bureaucracy rather than getting it down to the schools, to the teachers, to the children? So I asked him if he would consider doing that in Tennessee. And he said, Janice, I hadn't thought about that. He said, that is true. And I said, well, we'll get rid of the feds. We're going to get rid of a portion of that already because they won't have to be there interfacing. I said, but we've got to look at better management and more streamlined ways to do things, and the money can't be caught up in all of the bureaucracy. So right now, pray about that it's not a 3-1 vote. It'll be difficult to vote against East Tennessee. Pardon? Well, and being in the session is one thing, but being tied to the other two votes is a whole new ballgame, and that we will have to act ugly on that. I mean, there might be some television we'll need, there might be some radio we'll need, because the people need to be heard on that as well. That is not a good use. Any one question or two questions anybody has for me that I haven't touched on that you want me to touch on? Yes, sir?
I think we need to look at the bureaucracy in Tennessee, too, just like the federal government. It keeps passing more and more and more legislation that affects municipalities like this. We have to comply with these new rules that cost us money, and I don't see any visible benefit from these things. So let's cut the bureaucracy in Nashville.
Amen. I appreciate that, Steve. And that is true. Then they have to want to put more little rules and regulations in order to justify their existence. And the next thing you know, freedom isn't free. And Rush and I both are for more local control, less bureaucratic accountability, and for us to be able to allow the citizens who are really in the state of Tennessee. Our Constitution says that the Tennessee citizens are the ones that are in control of Tennessee government. So we need to make sure we stay out of the way and make sure we're listening to the people. Thank you so much again for letting me come. And we do have to go learn how to fix tractors when we leave here.
Well, you might know something about tractors. I don't. Again, Lynn, thank you for hosting this, and it's great to be here. 6 years ago was my first legislative meeting. I never thought I'd be here 6 years later, still here. And again, just great to see so many of my friends here. It's certainly an honor to be your state rep, and hopefully I can always be of service. Janice really kind of covered pretty much everything I wanted to say. I have not heard about the omnibus put together. I would be really surprised that the special session doesn't have all three bills separated. But the political reality, the governor would not call the special session if he didn't have the votes. So that's the reality of it. And Janice and I've spoke directly to the governor. The scholarship component of the bill has a lot more than strictly the scholarships in it. There's a lot of money that hopefully can go to infrastructure of schools. I know that might be some of the carrots in the bill. My issue is that there's no income caps on the scholarships, and that's been my bogey.
I mean, I don't know what for low and moderate folks that need a helping hand, if they have a child that they just don't feel like fits in public schools, that needs a different environment, I think they could use a helping hand. But if someone's making, I don't know, you pick a number, $500,000, $1 million a year, already in private schools, it just seems wrong that they're going to kind of win a mini lottery ticket for $7,100. Because it, that is where my bogey, so to speak, is. Without that, I mean, with some income limits, it's might have some merit. There, we have spent $3+ billion over the 6 years added to the education funds in the state. We're putting tremendous resources there. But across the state, the results coming out of the education system is still mixed. I mean, I've shared this. I don't know if there was a perfect formula for educating children and getting them successfully educated. I think some smart people in this world would have already figured it out. I still think it's so much the environment of homes, society, and everything else that is putting the lid on this. I mean, we're still educating kids, I think, in a lot of good ways, but still a lot of children are coming out of the system poorly educated because they're not motivated, they're not nurtured in the right environment. But that's a society issue. It's a big deal. Anyway, we'll get through this special session. After that, the session should become relatively, I hate to call it mundane, but there will be a lot of bills dealing with some crime, roads and such. I was hoping that I would see some premier legislation dealing with more on the drug addiction, whether it's the THC world that seems to be growing exponentially out there, that because no one knew that what seemed like a agricultural hemp bill has exploded into products out there that no one ever even imagined. And those are going to be affecting our kids and our society. So anyway, I was surprised, and I'm not sure. I mean, there's still time. We still have up to February for bills to be filed, so we might see some bills along those lines. I don't know if I think Janice covered it. I'll certainly stand up here for ask any questions. Locally, for our district, Janice and I are going to do the darndest we can to represent our district and our citizens. Now, we might be a little bit, get some, you can feel the cool wind blowing sometimes when you don't support the governor in his premier bill. So that's just political reality too. But we have broad shoulders, and we're going to do the right thing. So in our own minds, you'll never get universal agreement on anything up there. But there you go.
No questions?
I left my watch at home.
Any other questions?
It is, again, great to be here. And again, everyone, appreciate everything everyone does. I mean, we are the fabric of our community, and the concept. I'm confident that Tullahoma in this area will be successful as long as we have good people like y'all doing the job you're doing. So, thank you.
Thank you.
So once again, we thank the Rogers Group for sponsorship this morning, and I always love these events as much for the discussions that happen before we start doing the formal stuff around the room. I think that we've had a few people meet a few new people today, and that's always a good thing. But it's a beautiful Friday, and I'll let you go. And thank you for coming. We'll see you next year at the same event, hopefully.